Hello. Well, the case of Peter and Hazelmary Bull, the Christian bed and breakfast owners who only allow married couples to stay in a double bed, was in the Supreme Court in October. Now, previously, courts have said that policy discriminated against a gay couple, Martyn and Stephen Preddy. But the Bulls say it's all a matter of religious liberty, and they recently appeared on ITV Daybreak to talk about their beliefs. Well, the Christian Institute has been backing their case all the way. And joining me in the studio now to discuss it is Sam Webster, Solicitor Advocate for the Christian Institute. Sam, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to chat to us about this. What kind of result can we expect from the Supreme Court?
Well, obviously it's a decision for the 5 judges who have heard the case, and we don't know that decision yet. But there's a range of possible outcomes the judges may decide. Right from upholding the current position right through to an outright win for Peter and Hazelmary.
Well, now I'm sure that certainly we at the Christian Institute and Christians across the world will be hoping for a good result for Peter and Hazelmary. But even if they don't win outright, what would be a good result for that case?
Yes. Well, to date, the domestic courts, the County Court and the Court of Appeal, have found that Peter and Hazelmary directly discriminated against Martyn and Stephen Preddy. If we can overturn that finding of direct discrimination, we will then be in a position where Peter and Hazelmary will be defending an allegation or a claim of indirect discrimination. Indirect discrimination under the law can be justified if the defendant can show a cause, and it would be a good outcome, for example, if the Supreme Court justices decided, therefore, to make a finding that this is a case of indirect discrimination, but for the county court that originally heard the case to look again at the case, for the case to be sent back to the county court and looked at on the facts to see whether or not Peter and Hazelmary can show that their policy of having married couples only in double rooms, to show that that's justified.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who'll be looking at this case will be asking, why can't there be a bit more of a balance so that we can try and balance religious liberty and sexual orientation rights rather than just allowing sexual orientation to trump over religious liberty? And you're saying then if the Supreme Court decides that this is an incident of indirect discrimination, then they can engage in that balancing act by sending the case back to the county court. And in your view, that would be a good result?
That would be a very good outcome. In a sense, the Supreme Court is not a place to decide questions of fact, it's a place to decide questions of law. And if the Supreme Court can decide that this is not a case of direct discrimination, but is a case where at first sight there is a form of indirect discrimination which can be justified, then it would be appropriate for the Supreme Court to make directions for the county court, the proper test to be applied by the county court in applying the facts of the case, and therefore a question on the facts for the county court as to whether or not it's unlawful discrimination.
Now, of course, this is a big case and an important case, and you said in one of your earlier answers that the judges will be taking their time to make sure they get it right, and of course that's a good thing. But when can we expect a result?
These things there's never a set timetable for these things. I think we would be pleased if there was a result out before Christmas, but it may, of course, come sooner than that.
And what would the implications then be for others? I mean, obviously, Peter and Hazelmary are going to be affected by the result, but what about others?
Well, of course, even if the court doesn't find outrightly in favour of Peter and Hazelmary, we would hope that the Supreme Court would use the opportunity that this case provides to establish some important principles as to the correct balancing of rights that should be applied by the courts where there is this conflict of rights between sexual orientation and religious belief. And we would hope that those principles can be used constructively in future cases.
Well, Sam, thank you very much for taking time to discuss all that with us. It's been very helpful, I'm sure. We all eagerly await the result, and I'm sure Christians across the world will be praying for a good result for Peter and Hazelmary and more of a balancing of rights for religious liberty.